Officer Kelly is accused of driving drunk while off duty yesterday morning and hitting Val Nord about 1 o'clock in the morning while she was trying to hail a cab after a wedding reception. Neighbors here are outraged that a city police officer was allegedly driving drunk.
The law is not being followed by the people that are hired to enforce it. They feel that it doesn't apply to them. They feel that it's okay for them to go out and take a drink and drive around in 4,000 pounds of steel and plastic and just do what they want, just because they have a badge, a shield.
In the Bronx. Now he faces several charges, including driving while intoxicated. Now here is what we know about 44-year-old Detective Kevin Spellman. He works at the 34th Precinct in Washington Heights. Now he's been with the force for 20 years and was promoted to detective about 10 years ago. And he lives right here in the Bronx. Now the crash happened Friday morning at 232nd Street and Kingsbridge Avenue. The impact from the crash was so severe the car's windshield completely shattered. We're told Detective Spellman allegedly refused a breathalyzer after hitting and killing the woman.
A Nassau County police officer is accused of drinking on duty, crashing his unmarked cruiser, then leaving the scene of the accident. Detective Sergeant William Call allegedly hit a broken-down car on the LIE, injuring the driver. Call was reportedly released without bail after pleading not guilty. He's suspended without pay.
The Tuckahoe Police Department and Westchester DA are looking into whether Tuckahoe cops gave a free pass to an off-duty NYPD officer who may have been drunk when he crashed his car. Details of the crash last April surfaced on cell phone recordings obtained exclusively and shared with Eyewitness News by the website DNAinfo.com. The conversation is between one NYPD officer telling another about the incident. The officer, identified only as Chris, says he was summoned to the scene in the middle of the night by a Tuckahoe sergeant.
Chris, I got one of your guys down the block. Bad.
Sources identify the driver as 27-year-old Michael Lazarow, who's assigned to the 19th precinct on the Upper East Side. Lazarow reportedly asked to speak with his union delegate, who was called and allegedly told the Tuckahoe cops were only issuing 2 summonses for reckless driving.
Right, you got the deal. There's nothing that says DWI. It just says I f***ed up, I caused an accident.
Driving drunk and killing a pedestrian. Officer Luis Arno was arrested in the Bronx early yesterday morning while he was off duty. Investigators say that Arnaro was driving drunk when he hit 22-year-old Tyree Chisholm, who was walking across White Plains Road in the Wakefield section.
The cop was driving drunk. That's the toxicology report conclusion tonight about an off-duty New York police officer killed along with a fellow cop when he crashed his car on the Bronx River Parkway May 16th. Officer Kim Hao-young's blood alcohol level twice the legal limit when he lost control and then crashed into a light pole. Front seat passenger Officer Edwin Paulino also had been drinking. 4 female passengers in the back seat survived, but they had serious injuries.
Sir, you killed a man. How is it that this detective, 31-year-old Mark Holtz, is back to work after a 6-month suspension? Back to work even though his own department found him guilty of being drunk and speeding when, while off duty, he slammed into this man, John Marks, on a Newark street in July of 2008. This internal police department memo we obtained put Holtz's speed at 73 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. His blood alcohol content at 0.12. The legal limit is 0.08. He was never given a breathalyzer or a field sobriety test.
Drunk in his police cruiser. He crashed the police car early this morning in the East New York section of Brooklyn. Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Pegues at the scene with the story. Jeffrey?
Yeah, Bill, I want you to take a look across the street behind me here, right on the other sidewalk. You can see the utility pole that took the brunt of the impact. That is where the police cruiser crashed. According to the NYPD, the officer involved has been identified as 31-year-old Christopher Morris. He's a 5-year veteran of the force, and he works out of the 75th precinct, but his career may be over after what happened out here early this morning. Take a look at the photograph that we have of the accident scene. The squad car slammed up against an SUV and a utility pole. The police officer losing control of the cruiser, and police believe they know why. According to the NYPD, the officer was driving drunk on the job. According to published reports, Officer Morris was attending a fundraiser at a Brooklyn diner, jumped into his cruiser, and then near the intersection of Shank Avenue and Sutter, slammed into the utility pole. It happened at about 4 a.m. Numerous witnesses say the officer appeared confused.
By a driver who is now charged with manslaughter and driving drunk. And that driver is an off-duty New York cop. Police say he initially left the scene. It happened in the Mariners Harbor section. Eyewitness News reporter Stacey Sager is at the scene for us. Stacey.
Well, Bill, he left the scene. He came back a few minutes later and he told witnesses, "I did it." And now a 51-year-old man who woke up this morning and was just trying to cross this busy street on his way to work, he is dead.
Behind the wheel of this SUV that struck Hemphill, an off-duty cop, 29-year-old Joseph McLean, and witnesses say he was speeding, then struck Hemphill twice.
The first time he hit him, he ended up on the hood. The second time he ran him over, and then as soon as he ran him over, he took off real fast.
So he left the scene, you're positive?
Oh yeah, positive.
Witnesses say McLean came back a few minutes later and admitted to what happened. Late this afternoon, we did learn that McLean had alcohol in his system and is being charged with vehicular manslaughter and DWI.
On the Hempstead Turnpike in East Meadow Thursday night, in this surveillance video, you can see Cotto crossing the road just before he was hit by Corps' patrol car.
He was a good person. He was a father. He was a brother. And he was my fiance. And he was a very good person.
Corps has been charged with vehicular manslaughter and DWI. His attorney says it was an accident.
Accused of driving drunk on duty in a police car and accidentally shooting his partner in that car. Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger is at the Queens County Courthouse where the detective was arraigned and his attorney just spoke to Eyewitness News. Josh.
He definitely, according to court documents, was drunk. He had the stench of alcohol, police say, on his breath, and he blew a .113 on a breathalyzer when the legal limit is .08. Police from the 102nd Precinct, which is in Jamaica, arrived at Jamaica Hospital to find blood all over the inside of that detective's car, and they ended up arresting the detective for driving while intoxicated.
Drunk, driving, and firing his weapon, and somebody was hurt. Police arrested 27-year-old Brendan Cronin after stopping his car in Pelham shortly after midnight. Nearby on Lincoln Avenue, they say they recovered his service weapon and 13 shell casings. Investigators say he shot at a passing car on his way home, but they don't know why. Sources familiar with the investigation telling Eyewitness News Cronin had been drinking in the hours before the shooting. The victim drove his gun-riddled car to Montefiore New Rochelle Hospital. The 47-year-old New Rochelle man staggered through the doors. He had 6 gunshot wounds. He is now in serious but stable condition.